Maybe, I don't know. It's just one thing that stood out for me a lot. And they ask you lots.
Yeah, but I'm more imaginative than you. I have no idea, right? I don't know where the standard is, how to compare. So those questions were really difficult for me to answer. But I guess maybe that indicates something, right? If you know very innate innately like yeah, I'm a really imaginative person. I have this word to myself that I feel like is my own. Then you could really easily answer that question, and because I guess I don't, then maybe that tells me something about my level of imagination. It's just one thing that stood out for me a lot. Stood out for me.
Of different questions, and we were talking
They ask you a lot of different questions. We were
about this, that
we were talking about this, that
I mean, there are obviously criticisms about these types of tests, but
there are obviously 분명히 맞나? obviously 분명히 obviously obviously criticism 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 피나? There are obviously criticisms about these types of tests.
I think they're good at getting a kind of broad brush.
I think they're good at getting a kind of broad brush. Broad. 대략적인 이게 뭐야? 대략적인?
What are you like in some certain situations? And they can be actually really useful for figuring out, especially with people that you work with on teams.
They can be actually really useful for figuring out, especially with the people that you work with on teams.
Where they are, and
maybe
the best way to interact with them, or
maybe the best way to interact with them.
maybe why they might be reacting in a certain way that you don't understand.
Maybe why they might be reacting in a certain way that you don't understand.
She might be like, I don't know why they always do this, or
I don't know why they always do this, or
I don't know why they find that offensive.
I don't know why they find that offensive. 기분 나빠하지? Offensive. I don't know why they find that. 기분 나빠하지? Offensive. Offensive. I found out offensive. Offensive. Okay. Offensive. I don't know why they find that offensive. I don't know why they find that offensive, or
why they're so sensitive about this.
Or why they are so sensitive about this. Sensitive about this.
So doing these types of tests, I think, can be really useful, but also so I wouldn't read too much into it.
I wouldn't read too much into it. 크게 의미를 두지 않고. Don't read too much into it. 의미 부여하다. 것에 너무 의미를 하지 않고 I wouldn't read it too much into it.
To be careful, like I said before, self-fulfilling prophecy.
You have to be careful. Like I said before, self-fulfilling prophecy. 자기 충족이에요. Prophecy.
You are not just your profile on this test.
You are not just your profile.
You know, there's much more to you as a person.
There's much more to you.
Than that. But I do think I do love doing these types of things though.
There's much more to you as a person than that. There's much more to you than that.
Any opportunity to do like a personality test at work on a team building day, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I love it. I think it's fun.
Have you ever?
But I do think I do love doing these types of things though. Any opportunity to do. Opportunity. Opportunity. Personality test at work. Opportunity to do. Building day. Team.
ever done one with a professional that was administered by a psychologist or a doctor or somebody who had a deep understanding of these kinds of tests?
Yeah,
Have you ever done one with a professional? Professional. 전문적인? 근데 전문가라는 뜻도 있네. 전문가. There was administered by administer. 관리되나? Was administered by a psychologist. Psychologist네. Psychologist. 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 심리학자. Have a deep understanding of these kind of tests.
have actually, and I got the same result. So I
got the same result. So
done a very light version.
I've done a very light version. 라이트 버전? 가벼운 버전? 쉬운? 쉬운 버전?
And I've done the really, really in-depth ones as well.
정밀한?
And I've done other types of, there's different ones available that give you, different things, but they're all more or less the same. It's just kind of how they package it. But yeah.
They are all more or less. 그래서 거의 비슷했어. More or less가. 거의 지고. More or less the same. It's just kind of 그냥 how they package it. 어떻게 구성하는지. Package. Yeah, I've done it with somebody quite thoroughly.
I have done it with somebody quite thoroughly and
Thoroughly. 저기 자세히가 완벽하게 thoroughly. thoroughly가 아니었네. thoroughly. It was like INFJ every time.
it was the INFJ every time. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm definitely in that box.
I'm definitely in that box.
So stepping back just a little bit, instead of talking about our individual personality,
Step back. just a little bit 좀 뒤로 벗어나서 instead of talking about our individual personalities, I want to get your perspective.
I wanted to get your perspective and
Perspective. 관점 시각. 입장이란 뜻도 되는 것 같은데. 의견이란 뜻도 있구나. I want to get your perspective. 의견을 듣고 싶어. The MBTI test is
on the MBTI itself, because the reason that we're talking about it here today is one of our listeners named Chaeyoung. She wrote to us on Instagram actually and asked us to talk about this topic, and she is from Korea, and I know that it is huge in Korea. It's a very popular topic of conversation.
It is huge. 엄청나. 엄청나다. 엄청나. Huge. It is a very popular topic of conversation. 유명한 토픽이다. I met a couple of friends.
Recently, I met a couple of friends and they were asking me about my MBTI. I've had my students ask me about it, sometimes even
I've had my student ask me about it. 모르겠다.
in the English classes that I teach, my students will introduce themselves with their MBTI as part of their self-introduction. So it's extremely popular here in Korea.
Extremely popular. 엄청 유행이야? 기가 있어.
I know that in Canada it's also popular, but more for what, like you were saying about team building or in the corporate world.
Corporate word. Corporate. 공동이 corporate word는 공동세계. 기업세계? full part. I'm wondering.
But I'm wondering, as someone who's living in Spain and as someone who's from the UK, in these two countries, is the MBTI very popular?
Who's living in Spain and someone who's from UK in these two countries is 누구니 얘기해요?
So, based on my knowledge of the UK, because actually in
knowledge.
I haven't worked in a company, a Spanish company, so my knowledge would be about the UK. But yeah,
Knowledge would be about
UK, it's super popular, and it's interesting that you mentioned that people use it as part of their introduction, and it kind of becomes like a talking point, a discussion point, like, oh, which one are you, which profile are you, and you're like, oh, I'm an INFJ, what are you? I have
What
heard
are
that
you?
some people really like to use it as a form of telling people who they are. But again, I think that it's like a double-edged sword, because you can say, oh, I'm there,
It's like a double-edged sword.
you based on that, rather than actually getting to know you and forming an opinion about you. Do you know what I mean? So
Rather than actually getting to know you and forming an information. Form an opinion. 의견을 정하다. 의견을 갖다. 의견을 정하다. Opinion about you. 의견을 갖다를 정하다보다는 forming an information about you. 당신에 대한 내 생각을 정하기보다는 그다음에 MBTI를 믿고 따른다. 그럼 formal opinion about이라고. Form an opinion about. Form an opinion about. Form an opinion about. Form an opinion about. Form an opinion about.
If I say to you, I'm an INFJ, you're like, oh, Anna's introverted, so, I don't know, maybe. Because people always think, introverted, boring, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. It doesn't mean that you're boring just because you're introverted. I think it has such a bad rep. So
I think it has such a bad rap. Rapida. Representative. It has bad rap. Representative. That rap is representative. 대표? 특징.
it's like good, but also I can see how people might change their reaction based on you saying that.
It's like good, but also I can see how people might change their reaction based on you saying that.
Yeah, that classic definition of the quiet introvert is not really accurate.
Accurate. Accurate. Classic definition. 전형적인 정. Quiet introvert is not really accurate.
Because we are two chatterboxes here on Chatterbox, talking a lot, and we both said that we are introverted. And I like the
introverted. I like the expression that you used just a moment ago. A double-edged sword. Could you break that down and just explain what that idiom means to everyone? Could you break that down and just explain what idiom means to everyone?
Something is a double-edged sword.